It's a radical feminist movement, which is a proponent to have originated in South Korea in 2019. No sex with men, no child rearing with men, no dating men, and no marriage with men. I understand this as a response. There's a period of time in which men are socialized, and this is shit that Hooks talks about as well, where men are socialized in a way where our marriages, our sex, and our child rearing with them are all just horrible. Like, here is a way that we can get around this by we're not going to engage with this section of our life that is by and large, pound for pound, negative. It's, you know what, it feels a little bit like during the civil rights shit when they talked about, you know, black separationist movements as being like, well, don't you want unity? It's like, well, kind of no. Like, and why is that on me? Like, you're oppressing me. Why do I have to figure out a way to live in harmony with you? Yeah. Why don't I just fuck off? It's
basically Booker T. Washington. It's like I don't have to be integrated with you. It was like if you just allow me to do my own thing without standing in my way, and we respect each other in our separate alcoves, like, it's fine.
You know, we know that the dating market made, you know, over $5 billion like last year. And half of that came from the US market alone, right?
Itself,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right?
Money.
So when you have a movement like this, right, if this spreads fire, no one's going to be in these apps no more. It would be in the interest of these dating apps to not only contain us, but they want to abolish something like that.
I feel like there's a lot of rhetoric that I see, which is people trying to make women afraid of not getting men.
Yes.
You know? And I'm like, if you're a dating app and you go, look.
It's a red flag.
Brent Cooper? Yeah, young.
Oh, yeah. She's the girl that kind of looks like Ben Shapiro in the face. Yeah.
I'm like, is that? She looks like Ben Shapiro in the face.
She really does. Have you seen this girl?
No.
A woman? Yeah.
Oh,
she looks
my
like,
God.
Yeah, she looks like Ben Shapiro. And like, even her mannerisms are very similar to Ben Shapiro as well, right? And like, I saw them in the same room. And I was like, what's going on? You see?
This is her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does she do the same cadence? It's like, first of all, I would like to say my mission is to absolutely destroy you.
A little bit, yeah.
You're outside the Overton window on this situation. Like,
I'm unfamiliar with this lady. Do we like her or no? We don't like her.
Obviously, we don't like her. In this
Okay,
context,
we don't like her, but okay.
The only difference is that she didn't make her name like debating.
This is why Ben Shapiro might be a little fuckable.
I know this nigga was gonna say she's.
That's crazy.
I would have looked at her like I don't see Ben Shapiro. Goddamn.
Maybe the Conservative Party has
Yeah,
some.
maybe they've got some points. Maybe we should make America great again.
Dr. Umar's looking at you. With some
that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, look, man, I'm lactose intolerant, so like, I ain't got nothing to do with me.
That's a bar.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. But I feel like the only difference is that she didn't make her name from like debating college kids into why like being trans is a medical illness and so forth. Because that's how Ben Shapiro like got his.
You're good.
That's how like he got his name. Like, and then when you see him, I don't know if y'all seen that video with him debating on live TV. What's his name?
Was it like that
Piers
news
Morgan?
anchor?
Piers Morgan. Yeah, he got slapped up.
It was the other dude, wasn't it? Or was it? Oh no, was it Piers Morgan?
Yeah. Piers Morgan on BBC.
Yeah.
And it was like you clearly see a difference when you like battle grunts in a dungeon, and then you battle like the dungeon monster leader. Like it's a big difference. So like when you go down to campus over campus fighting like 21-year-olds who aren't as politically educated as you and have that same type of background. It's the exact same thing we have with the fresh and fit niggas. You know what I mean? It's like, they debate, young, ignorant, naive, college girls, so on and so forth. It
and
varies,
people
right?
don't have like the talking, because it's like there's a style to conversation of like, here's how you make a point and a counterpoint. Here's how you like reference evidence, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
That's not these women's jobs. These women they're having fun. They're living in Miami. A lot of them are like sex workers or whatever. You put them on a podcast to like discuss gender discourse. Of course they're not, especially when you've practiced all of your fucking sniper points. It's going to be easy. It's going to seem like you're not an idiot even when you are.
Yeah, but to your point, I think that it's weird that people don't push Ben Shapiro because and we've had this conversation before, like Ben Shapiro is at minimum educated, and I think the fact that he's educated as he is just calls into question the whole like system of legacy and how money plays into consideration, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, you think he doesn't deserve to have gotten the education?
He probably doesn't, right? Like he's a Harvard educated lawyer, and
you think
I'm smarter
nepotism
than Ben Shapiro.
His way?
Like I will fuck him up because his whole thing is straw man fallacy. Like he's like, I'm going to make you angry about this thing, so you're going to focus on this thing and not this thing. That's 90% of how he derails conversation. So what makes me angry is that when you see people that are supposed to be equally as credentialed, and arguably more intelligent, not be able to have like very like not be able to handle like very simple like end arounds to conversation. Like it like throws me off. It happens in Congress like all the time. So I do think your point stands, but I also think that it's weird that people who are supposed to be like good at this shit often get derailed by the Ben Shapiro's of the world.
Yeah, I'm sometimes I'm very surprised at like how bad certain people are, like people who have reasonable stances are at defending themselves in these contexts. Because like a Jordan Peterson is very good at that job of being like a talking head pundit, like, and as are the Candace Owens or whatever. Ben Shapiro kind of picks bad targets, you know what I mean, in order to seem better than he is. But Jordan Peterson actually is pretty good at like breaking down.
I actually don't think he is. I think what Jordan Peterson does is I think he relies a lot on that appeal to authority because he has a PhD. He basically gives you a word vomit of lots of very big words that if somebody's actually listening, he's not saying much of anything most of the time.
Sure.
He's making very simplistic arguments using very big words, and people are like, he used a big word. I'm outclassed.
The majority of his fan base are those that aren't as educated to where they understand like philosophy or, Hume or, Mill or, like Kierkegaard or like any type of philosopher. Of course, there is, an audience that have, right? And that audience are a lot more like into like, you said a lot, but you said nothing at all as well.
Yes.
And I think I saw a clip with that guy Destiny, with him fighting against Jordan Peterson, and he'll say stuff like, "Don't try and humor me," like David Hume. And it's like, why are you talking like that? And this is like that's not what I'm doing at all. There's this dope quote. It's like Jordan Peterson is a dumb person idea of smart.
Sure.
Right?
I think that was Dame Dash, yeah.
Yeah. And
Deadass, I was like, I could definitely see Dame Dash saying that.
He has said it. He said
Dame
it
Dash said
DJ
that?
Envy. Yeah. You sound smart to a dumb person. And Dame Dash is a dumb person. But anyway,
yeah, but that's the same type of field. Those other like Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, and all the other little minions that try to be like them.
Andrew
Also
Tate would
reside.
be like, I know this is derailing like the serious, good, ethical, moral aspect of this conversation, but Andrew Tate would be fucking hilarious if he wasn't being serious. Like, I feel like so many of the dumb fucking things that he said would be funny as fuck if it was just like an Ollie G character.
Those like fireside chats that he be doing
Yeah.
are fucking hilarious until you realize that he's serious.
He
and you're
means
like,
it,
this is terrifying.
Or at the
Like,
very least, he's willing to be taken as if he means it. Because I do think that some of these they're grifters. They're like, I don't fully believe this, but if I say something incendiary that kind of vaguely appeals to like a disenfranchised like group of the populace, people are gonna like respond to it. I don't think, because I feel like I've seen Andrew Tate like break character a couple of times where he'll say something wild as fuck and be like,
Yeah.
but okay, yeah. So women are people. Like he'll say something like that, and you see him crack up. Like,
Women are people.
yeah.
Women are people.
Because he had
And
one.
that's the wild thing.
Yeah.
Crack them up.
I think,
But no, because like I saw that on Twitter, and it's like if you have sex with women without the purpose of wanting to procreate and have children, then
Exactly.
you're gay. And then I read them like, alright.
Okay, scroll.
Moronic. Yeah.
You just have to at some point. You have to be like, you know what? It's just he's now just entertainment now, and I feel like there's a certain degree, and this is speculation, but I feel there's a certain degree to where he knows that, to where he knows where like
That's what I think.
I'm gonna say this is going to elicit crazy reaction because there are a lot of people that don't like me, and there was a time in 2022 where I was the most searched guy in the world. I'm no longer like guy anymore. I don't have that relevance. I've been alleged of all these claims about sex trafficking and so on and so forth. I'm gonna do anything I can to still remain that type of top G persona. And now people saying he went from being that top G, alpha male guy, to he's just being Andrew Tate now. So maybe he's like he's now kind of leaning into that persona
Of being a character.
of that dumbass clown.
Yeah.
Because this is the next step of my evolution to remain in the spotlight.
I mean, it's all probably bad, but I think him losing relevance as like a thought leader and just becoming kind of like an internet buffoon is probably better than him being a thought leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is better for himself and everyone else around us. You know what I mean? Because we don't need folk like that to be like, this is how you need to model your life as a man. Because it's backwards. It's completely backwards. And his target audience are those that lack self-esteem, and they lack that type of maturity, and they lack interaction with women, and they lack all these various different type of things, and they look to a man that isn't their father or like a family figure because where else am I gonna get this from? And he's rich. I mean, he has muscles, he has women.
Successful.
So therefore, by this mere exposure effect, just just by cognitive bias, if I act like X, I'm gonna get Y. And then you still wonder why you got no bitches. Like it really doesn't make any sense that way.
And I think that's the thing that gets me with Andrew Tate, because we've had this conversation before, at least in Sidebar, where usually these type of men, like, I kind of know what their hang up is.
Okay.
Andrew Tate is kind of an anomaly in that situation, right?
How so?
Because he's tall. I would say he's conventionally good looking. Like Andrew Tate not being an asshole with his head bald, because I do think, no judgment, my hairline ain't the greatest either. But like when he's like bald, like, and that bearded kind of look, I think that his look plays. He's a former kickboxing champion.
Yeah,
so like that's an uber masculine kind of situation. Him being in that space kind of throws me a little bit, because he seems like the person that like wouldn't need to subscribe to a red pill mentality, because usually like why like guys have like went to that dark side. It was like, oh, I'm fucking 5'5" and ugly, and all of a sudden like I hate women now. And I think Andrew Tate kind of throws me
I don't
off.
think it's that black and white, and I'm not here to. This is not a.
I'm about to probably agree with you.
Yeah, because this is not a ledge I'm about to die on whatsoever at all. But I don't think it's just that. Look, just because I know this shit.
Wait,
I know, right?
And before, because I think your point is still going to stand. But let me clarify mine. But your point is still going to stand, that it's not black and white. I'm not saying that it's black and white. I'm saying that you can often trace the behaviors of these kind of men that are doing it from a sincere perspective to some sort of deficiency that led them to feel like they've been wronged in the eyes of women. And I think that from an Andrew Tate perspective, that he is less likely to have those telltale markers that you typically associate with that, even though I agree that, like, again, it's not going to be like I've been hurt by a woman before, and I'm not saying that it always has to be that. I'm just saying that there are correlations, even if those correlations aren't causal. I don't think that changes any of the points that you're going to make, but I did just want to clarify my point.
Yeah, and it makes a lot more sense. So the only thing I was just going to add to it, people in general, it don't matter what your gender is, what you identify as, can suck. There are bad people out there, just period. And some of those bad people are women. And when you are... I'm like, look, that wasn't a diss. That's not a diss.
I know that's not a diss. The setup was perfect.
Some of them are. They just so happen to be women. I'm sorry.
And on that note, welcome to the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Y'all not about to make me out to be like the red pill.
I'm about to back you up.
Bro, you barred us up, bro. You barred us up. That's why we laughing.
He said, I just want to make sure. I don't support him. No. So women are bad people.
No, bro. Okay.
Wait, let me introduce the podcast real quick, and then you make your point. Welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flag, the #1 dating and not red pill podcast, pro women podcast in the universe.
We promise.
It's your boy. Scouts of America honor, not Boy Scouts honor. It's your boy Eddie, it's Josh, it's Alvin. Today we're joined by the illustrious and mysterious video essayist Redux City. You know what I'm saying? Today we're here to talk about, the culture, women, red pill shit, whether or not women are good or not. Josh, I think you were saying something. Sorry, just kidding.
Women, you all are beautiful. Women, you are beautiful. You are lovely human beings per capita. And on average, you are very powerful. You are better than me.
Pound for pound.
I gotta look at the camera when I say this shit before I say this next shit.
Yeah.
Because like when I stand next to these three gentlemen, like I really look like, the worst person, like, ever compared to these guys.
Not ever.
But what I was saying was just that, like, look, people can be awful, evil. There are awful, evil people. Some of them just happen to be women.
Sure.
And then when you reach a level of status, success, especially as a guy, you run into a lot of women who
seek something
from you, who want to take something from you, who want to take advantage of you, who come at you from an angle, who literally researched you. So I can understand just like the opposite. Like, Andrew Tate's so handsome, he's successful. Why would he need to subscribe to such a mentality? When it's like, no, the opposite of that could be because I've run into so many women who had an agenda And not saying that I'm just, this is just a possibility. I've run into so many of these types of women who had an agenda to take something from me. They wanted something from me. Their love wasn't genuine. So, and that is that's painful at the end of the day for anybody.
And
Oh no, I was gonna say that while there's an error to where we can understand that, and context should not be taken away, it's still, at least on an individual basis, your duty to not let your past to define your future when it comes down to shaping the lives of those around you.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you have Myron from Fresh and Fit or Andrew Tate, or any type of red pill guy who clearly speaks out of venom and just an abrasive type of resentment. It's like, this happened to me when I was growing up, and since it happened to me, I'm going to generalize everyone else, instead of actually using that type of background to further create a foundation of, I don't sound like that typical lucky ass nigga, a foundation of peace and just unity. It creates more division. Now, why? One, there's the economical reason. There's money in division. There is no money in unity. There is no money in peace. That's why America's, they spend the most money when it comes down to war and war profiting, right? And that's the same thing in this dating space. It's the same thing with the dating apps. Any
kind of content space is like you can
so
make money off that.
Yeah, so, and it serves as the perfect alibi for everyone else, right? I remember I saw a TikTok, right? Yeah. His whole content is like, I'm gonna go ahead and I've got 3 girls on my roster, so on and so forth. I'll text you, go and doing this, and just that general. And he's like muscular. So
are we talking about Fit or Myron, or are we talking about Tate? Just a guy.
Yeah, just a guy on TikTok, right? And the reason he was like, y'all haven't been in my position where I went to prom and I was laughed at, and so on and so forth. And then when you attack that type of emotional space, to the receiving end, to the consumer, you're gonna think, I get it. That's why he acts like that. Like, I get it. Yeah, women ain't shit. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. But that's not the way to think about it.
Exactly. And I think that's where that following gets amassed from, because a lot of guys have been, people can be cruel, especially children.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of our traumas come from, is our childhood and things that we couldn't process. And, and it's like a lot of those guys probably do think, well, I've been wrong by women. I was writing this. I was pure of heart. I was pure of intention. And without much careful analysis, and it's like, well, hey, no, it's not that they're evil. It's just, my nigga, you took a bump. Here's how you learn from it. Here's what you don't do.
Yeah.
Here's what you do.
Pause.
but I also,
I saw the vision.
Yeah. And while I think me and Eddie reach, once you go from more proximal to distal kind of solutions and causes, I think me and Eddie diverge a little bit in terms of the onus that I feel like men should place on those kind of things. I also kind of want to just throw those people a bone that I kind of get it, right? I think we disregard the fact that things that happen in our childhood and our formative years can have those long-lasting impacts and kind of make sense.
Yeah.
And
it kind of bullies apologize to people they bullied back in middle school.
Exactly.
You're still that person.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that were I was bullied or I was wronged from their lens, whether or not that was the actual situation or not. That's how they framed it in their mind. So carrying that with you kind of makes sense. My only thing is that I really wish that men would address those deep-seated issues in a way that was more pro-social than what they do, right? I really think, and I do know that therapy doesn't solve everything. Therapy is kind of step one in the process. A lot of people don't seem to know that, but therapy is step one, especially talk therapy.
I think that's probably fair.
I wish more men, and again, somebody's going to say it, so I'm going to say it right now. I understand the social context. I understand therapy is expensive.
And difficult to find a good to match and be productive.
Exactly.
And also
so
being
box
able
checked.
to be open enough to speak up about your issues and being able to articulate it well.
Which is a problem. That's probably step zero. But I agree with you. That's probably step zero. That's the pre-work.
A better one. Doing the actual homework from therapy.
Yes.
You're not just going to therapy and just okay, well that's it, and then just going home.
Yeah. So I wish men more would take that step on their own to kind of address these in more pro-social ways. And I think, again, what Josh has mentioned, I agree is step zero. Step one, I think, is probably some level of talk therapy, but they don't. they take the easy way out, I think. And again, I'm not saying that,
Subscribe to Fresh and Fit.
you know, like I don't get it because I do, and they subscribe to Fresh and Fit, and that becomes their whole fucking personality, which is weird.
That said, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead though.
Well, that said, I think that, and not to double down on the like women thing, but I think that I think that we all need to examine the ways that we're like cruel to people that we don't consider attractive. I think that men are probably worse about it, but women are still unacceptably bad about it as well.
Oh, facts.
The way that we go, because I think it's easy to be like, oh well, you know, you just weren't hot in high school, so somebody treated you badly, or da 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 da. But it's like that's actually not good. Like it's one thing, and I do think that men overestimate that they're like, oh, this woman one time didn't want to fuck me. Women are evil. Makes no fucking sense. But if someone is like, you're an unattractive man, therefore I'm going to treat you like you're not a person, that's a problem. That is bad, unacceptable behavior. That does happen still. I don't think that justifies any of it, but I think that's very good context.
How do you feel about the statement when people say, both men and women, like when they say stuff like, "This is what I get for giving like ugly men a chance"?
I think it's a really, really dumb way to approach the conversation.
Yeah.
I think because there's a lot of layers to it, and I think it gets taken a little bit too far in some ways. But I will say that I think a lot of times we think that if we're with somebody that we view as less valuable than us, and we use attractiveness as a proxy for value, that they should grovel towards us. And I think men do it, but I think women both do it, where it's like, oh, I'm dating an ugly man, so if he doesn't treat me great because he owed me because I was willing to grace him with my existence, that's not a way that you enter into a relationship, because a relationship is meant to be equitable. So if your partner is less conventionally physically attractive than you, you need to be entering into the relationship going, that doesn't matter. I'm going to show up 100%, not expecting them to owe me something more, and not expecting to be like, okay, well, the hot guy's treating me bad. Maybe if I get someone who's a little bit worse, I'll get a little bit, you know, I have a different footing. That's a trash way to approach any relationship.
It's effectively a way that a lot of women, because I do hear that more so from a women perspective, it's effectively a way that they're playing into the patriarchal like dichotomy that they are only as good as their attractiveness relative to their partner.
Yeah, true.
You know, like because they're saying like, you should treat me good because I look better than you.
Yes.
You're effectively just objectifying yourself at that point.
And I'm better than you, and therefore I am better than you.
Yeah.
Because it was.
Just real quick, I'll even say that I don't even think that it's like, I guess I want to be careful about like objectifying yourself as like a framework. I think it's also kind of like, but I guess it is objectifying yourself. Like, it's kind of like all of my value comes from that, and it's a way of reducing yourself. So, so to your point, it's like, well, what about all the other ways that a person is valuable? It's not just looks, and I think that.
But and I also want to say that, you know, as my caveat, then I'll yield. But I also want to say that I still don't think that's women's fault. Like, you know, and I don't think you were saying that. I don't think anybody here was saying that. That's more for the audience. I do think that women have to do what they can to exist within the dominant social like structure, which is a patriarchal system. So like they're kind of trying to make cuisine out of bullshit. So I kind of get it. They're trying to.
It's a struggle, maybe.
Yeah, but it is exactly how you described it.
I want to back that point, because now that now that we're completely in the digital space of like dating apps and sliding into DMs, and you know, we're going
Got to do it.
you know, and we're going further and further away from being like, oh shit, that's all go at the bottom, we go and talk to her, so on and so forth. When go-to is to go find someone on Tinder, to go find someone on Hinge, and you know, Bumble, and you know, whatever the case may be, you know, our reality is shaped by these apps, and it's shaped by what we see on these apps, right? Yeah. So, and this is going to feel like a shameless plug.
You got a new dating app?
Oh yeah, you know what I mean. It's called where is it?
You know what I'm saying?
That's you.
Yeah, it's called Be Single or Be with Ducks. I'm the only one on it, you know.
It's unlimited pictures of the same nigga.
It's all just you.
Swipe right. It doesn't matter.
It's different flavors of redux.
You got redux, you got smooth ducks, you got nice ducks.
All your ducks in a row.
That's a tagline.
All your ducks in a row.
And it's just ducks. It's just spread over and over again.
The same bio over
That's
and
good.
over again.
And you masked up too, so it's like, I hope he's hot into the fucking the job. Like,
Red bandana, blue bandana, red bandana, the same one over and over again. No,
it
but
really brings out your eyes.
hey, look, man, look. It's not about looks.
That's true. I mean, objectify you, young king. You're right.
True love, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. But when when you have these apps and you leave with these apps, and then you have these men that profit from these apps, like for example, to say, I'm gonna go ahead and make the perfect dating app, the perfect dating profile. You want to have this from this angle, so on and so forth. Now, for men and women alike, your whole perception as to what is beautiful and valued is completely skewed on how we perceive you on this app. Bear in mind, we can't hear your voice, we can't really gauge some type of emotional, emotion from you. Your spirit, your soul, none of all that, right? We can only see this type of digital interface, and we're limited to 5 photos, right? Okay, boom. Let's say that for a guy, and we all know the stats on these. It's all very different on each app, but all kind of relative. Guys with 1 out of every 3 get maybe 1 out of 40 likes.
It's quite skewed, yeah.
Very skewed, right? If y'all don't know, guys, these apps are not made for you.
They're not made for anybody. I feel like
they're not made for anybody. And I feel like this goes, and I'm gonna segue into the Bumble John in a minute, right? But when you have these type of apps to where your entire life and perception, and this it's so dope how this all intertwines into loneliness as well now, right? Because it was amplified during the pandemic. Women have this type of security to where all guys are weird. I'm gonna go ahead and vet them perfectly on this app, but there's 100 guys talking to me all at once. It's so overwhelming to find which one and you could be, and it doesn't matter if you're a supermodel in looks, it really doesn't matter. There's 10 other 6-foot guys out there, right? She won't even see you. So then guys will say that as, oh, you're too good for me. No, the girl does not even see you. That could be the coolest girl in the world right now, right? But you message her at 10 a.m., right? She doesn't see her phone until maybe 6 p.m. By the time she sees her phone, you're all the way down there because 8 other guys are messaging her. So now as a guy, you're like, oh, you think you're too good for me now?
I think it's very easy to go very quickly to judging a person for what is essentially UX problems. You know what I mean?
It is.
The way an app is designed.
See, that's why I was fucking with Bumble, because the woman had to reach out to you. Even if it was just something as lazy as, hey,
yeah. What's good?
It's okay, well, shit, at least.
Yeah, you had to try a little bit.
I'm in the top 10. Goddamn it, I'm going to be in the visibility range. You know what I'm saying? If they reached out. Unless they just, on some nigga time, they just swipe right.
It's not there no more.
Hey.
That's one thing they'll do probably. Send out all the haze and gauge who was the best response. And now Bumble made that a lot more easier. Now, I think it's funny with that whole campaign. That campaign.
Oh, the celibacy campaign?
That one, that was the perfect type of presentation where it showcased that these apps and these companies and MG Group, even though Bumble is part of MG Group, they do not care about you finding love. Just use the app. If you're gonna find love, at least use the app with it. You're lonely anyway.
And promoters.
Yeah, use the app and then promote us, right?
Pay for a premium version.
Pay for a premium version. Yeah, I know you want to find love, but for $29.99, right?
You can find more love.
You can find more love, right? You don't get it, but you can find it, right? And it's different because look, as we know, men pay way more on these apps as well. They are the higher percentage when it comes down to subscription basis on these apps, right? So then with this campaign, and I was like, women fuck celibacy. You know what I mean? You're single, don't push that. That you can be more tone deaf.
It really did seem like what was your and let me play it for a song.
Shout out to Cindy Noir.
Yeah. Cop the episode that she's in.
That's sis right there.
And as cute of an attempt as this is for y'all, I don't give a damn. Continue to boycott Bumble. Yeah. This Bumble fumble is so massive. And it's one of those things that once you see, you just cannot unsee it. And I personally cannot unsee that Bumble really got on these billboards and told women, y'all are putting y'all's coochies on ice a little bit too much, and it's costing us money. And I can't unsee that. And if that's how you feel about women and their advocacy for their bodies in public, I can only imagine how you feel about us behind closed doors. So yeah, this was cute, but the Bumble boycott is still on. Delete the app today. Thank you.
Oh, the anti-sponsorship.
I'm telling you, on ice busted down for Clyde.
Yeah, that's crazy. She said delete the whole shit.
That's what it is. It's oh, okay, y'all ain't fucking and y'all really costing us money, and we don't like that no more.
Yeah,
right? I do think that there's maybe some value to the conversation of because I've seen like the 4B movement, which is I forget, it started in Korea or something like that, but it's basically like a celibacy, like a long-term celibacy thing. It's basically don't fuck men, don't have children with men, don't marry men, and I can't remember what the fourth one is. Does anybody?
Just be a lesbian.
I think it's not. Oh, maybe I don't know if it's meant to be lesbian.
So it's like is it like it's like the reverse of Steve Harvey's 90-day plan.
Maybe, but I think it's
the reverse of Steve Harvey's 90-day plan would be like fuck tonight.
To like fill in
Like, what are you
No, I mean like, the complete like okay, maybe from like a different universe. Because it's just like abort men just in general.
Okay,
I think it's
Don't
something
fuck men,
like that.
Don't talk to men. Don't you know what I'm saying?
So it's no sex with men, no child rearing with men, no dating men, and no marriage with men. So it's a radical feminist movement, which is a proponent to have originated in South Korea in 2019. Its properties renounce everything to do with men, basically. And I think it's a movement that's gotten a little bit of traction recently.
This is why I don't like when people just use the word feminist for all these type of things, because this is not feminism. Even
at its core.
Yeah, at its core. And of course, it's a different wave of feminism that we're in right now. It differs greatly from, the 1920s and the 60s and, when Bell Hooks was talking about it. But this is very reductive. This isn't about any type of economical, political, or social equality, which still promotes unity and still promotes that type of community as well. This one is just the abolishment of relationships with men.
I think
This is burning bridges.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of fucking flip flopping here because I fall a little bit. I actually disagree. Like I think that there's one. I think it's fair to call this feminism, or like if it's part of a larger group of beliefs that are aimed somehow at women's liberation. That's what that is. However they go about it, maybe we could say the thing is wrong. That seems like it's in line with what the idea is on the tin. But two, I think that I understand this as a response. Like, I don't think it's necessarily right, but I don't completely misunderstand. If you go like, look, there's a period of time in which men are socialized, and this is shit that Hooks talks about as well, where men are socialized in a way where our marriages, our sex, and our child rearing with them are all just horrible. Like they ruin our lives. Here is a way that we can get around this by we're not going to engage with this section of our life that is by and large pound for pound negative. I get it. And I think that if we put the onus on women to be like, oh, we gotta, it feels a little bit like during the civil rights shit when they talked about, black separationist movements as being like, well, don't you want unity? It's like, well, kind of no. Like, and why is that on me? Like, you're oppressing me. Why do I have to figure out a way to live in harmony with you?
Yeah.
Why don't I just fuck off?
Pluralism and to the point, this feels very much like pluralism. Like this,
what's that?
It's basically Booker T. Washington. It's like I don't have to be integrated with you.
Yes,
it's like if you just allow me to do my own thing without standing in my way, like, and we respect each other in our separate alcoves, like, it's fine. So I do think that this is very much akin to that. And to your point, nobody said that Booker T. Washington was like anti civil rights, for example, right? He just had a different take on it than W.B. Du Bois. And I largely agree with you. And I think that at its core, what this does is it just puts the onus back on men to, and I'm not saying I 100% agree, but I'm just saying this very much seems like what I've often said is that the onus should be on men to like fix ourselves. All right. Like this says like, oh, no sex, no child rearing. Let's be real. Let's look at what this is practically, right? This is basically earn me. This is basically like make this something worthwhile and fruitful to my life, to my existence, right? And I kind of don't disagree with that. I kind of think that like a lot of women, based on societal pressures and all this kind of thing, thinks they have to take things that like they don't really have to in the modern context, or shouldn't have to in the modern context. And I think that this kind of places the onus back on men to say like, earn this from like women, you know what I mean? And I don't completely disagree with that.
Yeah, and I think I was trying to build that as like a foundation because I think that I'm critical of the thing but I was just trying to build like up to where we're all talking about the same thing. So now that we're all kind of talking about the same thing, I don't think that Bumble being like, hey, look, ultimately celibacy for most of us is not a long-term solution. And ultimately you probably do want to find a partner. How do we go about that? But I also think that Bumble, one, tone deaf because there's a lot of anti-black women sentiment in the thing. Like even the way they phrase the thing of like, full well celibacy is not the move is very much like targeted at, you need to bust it wide open for Clyde so we can make this money. And I think that was tone deaf and wrong, and they shouldn't have done it that way. and they should have been trying to attract women to the app in a different way. But also, to your point, and all of the great points that you made about dating apps, these motherfuckers do not give a fuck about.
They do
none
not
of
fucking
us.
care.
They're
That's
trying
not
to
what
sell.
they're
They're trying to
doing.
sell their fucking app.
Nah, but then I suppose then in correspondence with this, and because we know that I forgot her name, but the CEO and founder of Bumble, detached from, was it Hinge or Tinder?
Yeah.
Tinder. She came from Tinder
came
first.
from Tinder, right? And that was the appeal of it. It was this type of an app for women, and then they go through this whole rebranding process to where they now have automated responses to guys first, and then guys gonna go ahead and see if
Automated responses. What happens?
Okay, yeah. So it was two things with Bumble. The first one was the campaign that flopped, and the second one was they had this whole thing like we change so you don't have to. So
I saw that. That to me seemed crazy.
So what it was is that so what it was that instead of women having to think of something to say,
Make the first move.
they have an automated response to every guy they like, and the response is something like, what do you think about what is your great Roman Empire, or what do you think about X, Y, and Z, or
And the app does it for her.
and the app does it for them, right?
Yeah.
And then it's up to the guy to have a witty response, like, oh, I think about this, so on and so forth. And then the woman can gauge how that guy responds and be like, he's not worth it. So, and to the surprise of no one, that had a backlash.
Oh my God, this isn't working out so well.
So how could this have happened?
But from whom? I'm curious. From men or from women too?
From both.
Interesting.
From both.
Okay.
From men and women. And
I
of
wouldn't
course,
have. I wouldn't have sure.
yeah, no, they had a huge.
Because women seem allergic to sending a proper first message.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I
Men
mean-
aren't too much better, but women are worse.
Yeah,
at
I
that.
mean, like it takes 24 hours to think of a great opening liner that says "Hey," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, H.
hey,
Ooh,
you.
what do I do next?
Do I go E? Do I go I?
Yeah.
2 Y's, 3 Y's.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't know.
Howdy, maybe that could. Now it's something
Yeah.
like cowgirl. What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, and then so with this one, the automated responses, or should I say, the automated one-liners, it takes away any type of pressure women would then have to think of something to say, which sounds crazy when I say it out loud. Pressure something to say, and they would then evaluate men even further throughout this response, right? So there were $1 million like last year, and half of that came from the U.S. market alone,
by
right?
itself, yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Money.
Surprised, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, now top countries like the U.S., the U.K., and this is the western part of the world, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a movement like this, right, if this spreads fire, no one's gonna be in these apps no more, right? So if
True.
it would be in the interest of these dating apps to not only contain this, but they want to abolish something like this.
They want to market effectively so that this because let's be honest, I think people disregard, and I've had this conversation like very recently in terms of like politics and all that kind of stuff. I think people don't fully realize how much of their movement and belief systems are just effective marketing. So I think to your point, if I'm these dating apps, if I'm looking specifically at this, or even tangential movements that may not be as extreme, like our marketing team's working 24 hours a day on like out a week.
Do you think that they may be pouring in money, like not to get conspiratorial, but I would imagine that they'd be pouring in money on the pundit side,
Yes.
behind backing the Brett Coopers or what? Because I feel like there's a lot of rhetoric that I see, which is people trying to make women afraid of not getting men.
Yes.
And I'm like, if you're a dating app and you go, look, you get hot men on an app, you get women, and then you get all the other men. Is kind of how that structure works. Them putting in place like the podcasters, the YouTubers, the TikTokers that create the right ideologies to make it to where women want to do that, men want to do that, seems like a thing that dating apps
In a pretty
put money
guerrilla
into.
fashion, and it's pretty easy and relatively cheap versus what it used to be. Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's
Andrew
an
Tate brought to
uphill.
you by Bumble. Damn.
I think it's an uphill battle, specifically in regards to looking at what you just stated from women, because like the data is just so overwhelming that that's not the case, right? Like that. No, so the data is pretty clear that marriage is not a great situation for women.
Oh, true
even
facts.
in the
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's not a good
Yeah.
deal.
Like most women are-
Marriage a good situation for
Men.
because I don't.
men.
but
I also don't think that.
It's literally a fact.
Men-
I get what you're saying.
On the-
I get what you're
Divorce
saying.
is not good for us.
Yeah.
Big,
Yeah.
and I think that's.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna because marriage is purely economical, really and truly. Look at how how people of power, like the Henry VIII's or the kings and queens, their succession comes from marriage. If you want can't believe I'm saying this. Look at Bridgerton, right?
Okay. Why wouldn't you say that?
Right.
That's where this. No,
I just ain't
no, I'm
want
with
nobody
you.
to know I
I'm
was
with
like,
you.
tuned in to Bridgerton.
It's a beautiful ambiance. Come
No,
on.
Bridgerton is actually mad colorist, but
It is.
Oh, that seems unsurprising. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
I think they
Yeah.
lean into that a little bit though. I think like it's colorist on the nose. Like I
Yeah.
think they're, as much as I don't like it because I think they're very heavy-handed with the things, but I think they're intentionally like highlighting something with that book into
wait, do you think the show is being colorist, or you think that there's colorism from the characters?
the show. The show.
Okay, so you think the show is being racist, essentially?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I mean, as far as colorism stuff, I mean, like, come on, bro. Like racism. I mean, like, come on. Like,
I think that's one of the things they're trying to do.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, during that time period. Of course, if you're dealing
In
with
that high
social,
society,
in
like
that high society,
yeah.
of course, if you got niggas about, they gonna be light than a motherfucker.
Dog,
That's
this
true.
was set in like the 1800s. Tell me one nigga that was walking around talking about Miss Bridgerton, let's go ahead and promenade around the... No, he was being whipped.
So there just shouldn't have been any. Is basically what
It's
you're
just-
saying.
No.
it's
What I'm saying,
We get more niggas whipped per
what I'm saying,
episode.
right, is that in this show...
It's unrealistic.
Right, is that in this show, yes, we know that it's unrealistic from the jump. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, they
Yeah.
didn't-
The definition of it is
Yeah, so, okay, fine. That's... you can't argue that point because it's constructed to be... This is very
Right, so if you're going to be
fictional, right?
unrealistic, it should be
yeah,
diverse.
But in this case, right... And I remember Lady Danbury even said to
Lady
He
Danbury.
be watching.
He was in.
I know, he be watching like a motherfucker.
It's so
I can't believe I'm going to say
Lady
that.
Danbury.
I can't
But
believe I'm
it's
letting
down
people
to
know. I'm locked the fuck
on the
in.
Wilshire's way.
Hey,
They announced new Bridgerton, and I was all about that
watching
shit.
Real Housewives of Atlanta or some shit. Yeah, this is a guilty pleasure.
This bitch got her fucked up.
I was really like that in season 1 though. For
Okay,
real,
okay,
you know what
okay.
I mean? Season 3 just came out like 2 days ago.
Yeah, not that
But-
you're tracking it or nothing.
I know,
Lock
Yeah.
the fuck in. It's all cool.
It's all good.
No, but one of the characters even said to Simon, who was the male protagonist. I'm gonna laugh my head now. He's not like the male protagonist of the first season. She said, our people had to fight really hard to get to this position, and I'm like, in my first response is like, during this time it was still going on. So what really got what I mean? So on and so forth,
Yeah.
right? But look at Simon. He's this 6 foot tall, muscular, light skinned black man who has a dark skinned father who completely neglected him growing up. His mother is dead. This is spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Bridgerton, by the way. Who's his mother is dead. Now he has family trauma. Like this, look at him. He is just when people say dark, tall, and handsome, they think of that, right?
That's crazy. That motherfucker look like Russell Wilson. That's dead ass Russell Wilson.
Like real talk, he's much better looking than Russell Wilson. And I think Russell Wilson is also conventionally attractive. Just being fair.
It's the Hot Boy Podcast.
Yeah.
The hot boy part.
That's where we've gotten now.
Football player. I don't see it.
Really?
I think they're both roughly the same color and have
Yeah, I'm not
loose
seeing it.
curls.
Really?
I think that's
Y'all
the only thing
y'all
that
don't see that?
I don't see it. at all.
Wait,
The nose is crazy
open up
different.
another
Yeah, the
tab?
nose
it's
is
just
crazy
those two next
different.
to each
Yeah.
other, yeah.
Come on now.
Nah.
No, they just
Nah,
just
nose
have,
is crazy different.
they just have similar hair
Because
textures
Russell
and
Wilson
similar
looks
colors.
like
Okay.
half Samoan.
Okay, complexion.
Russ looks like everything. Have you seen those like memes? Where it's like Russell Wilson as a different ethnicity?
And they all still look right.
Yeah, it's like Russell Wilson as a Dominican. Russell Wilson.
He looks, yeah.
Russell
If you
Wilson as
told
a
me
black
he
man.
was Hawaiian,
Russell
I'd be
Wilson
like,
as a,
makes sense.
as a Samoan, and it's like different hairstyles, different beard cuts, and it's like, yeah, this motherfucker's racially ambiguous as
Okay.
fuck.
I feel like a police officer could confuse them, but I wouldn't.
That's a fair point.
I know.
I don't know, bro. Like,
Josh
You seen
PD
it?
over here. Look at him.
yeah, because
Yeah, he trying to switch in between like the faces to make it make sense.
really two different niggas.
Yeah.
They both got eyes. They both got eyebrows. See how it matches?
No, see, go back to that. You see that picture with him with the long hair?
Which,
The one that's
Yeah, he definitely looks Cuban right here. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
No,
I mean, that's fair.
that's a cartel member right
Yes.
there.
That's fair. That's big facts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but now he looks nothing like Simon in that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So,
Okay.
based on where we are in the thing, I think we should do a little. Whose turn is it to do the ad read?
I did it last time. So
What did we say in the
it's
thing?
actually
I'm
probably
pretty
on
sure
Apple.
it
you.
said me for the mid roll.
Okay, well, after this awkward introduction to that, do you want to give it a go?
First of all, did you even finish your point? I know we have to.
Oh, was
transition,
I
but-
making a point? What was
No,
I
I'm
saying?
saying- I'm
Oh,
saying-
yeah, no,
oh,
finish your
oh,
point. My fault.
oh,
yeah,
finish your point and then
oh, yeah,
we'll move
Bridgerton,
on.
my fault. Sorry. Terrible hosting. My apologies.
Yeah, so basically I was like, okay, Simon's dad, he's this dark-skinned man who neglects his son, who's
Dark skin.
who he doesn't care for his mother, and then Simon grows up and not wants to have children, right? To go ahead and continue the legacy. Okay, that's one. We don't want to continue the black legacy and then black family. Okay, iffy. And then you have his best friend, who's a dark-skinned man, who's this Mandingo warrior boxer in the ring, right? Who fights for money, who then gets entangled with this other white man, so you can go ahead and be like, look, just throw this fight, we can make a whole lot of money. Black guy, dark-skinned black guy, his wife is a light-skinned woman as well, light-skinned kids, right? But he's a side character too. Now find me one dark-skinned man or woman in the show that is a prominent figure in this series. You don't find them. They're all background characters, right? And then, to lean more into it, Simon, Mr. Lightskin, marries Bridgerton, the white woman, right? And that's what it's all about. And then you see in season 2, there's a greater absence of that. Now, of course, you have the South Asian woman, that come into the play.
Okay.
And then they push this interracial agenda, right? Now, I forgot the
And when it's
woman's...
interracial, it's like one of the races is always white. Is it that kind of a thing, or is it?
In this case, okay, in season 1, it's white and mixed race. And season 2, it's white and Indian.
Yeah.
And season 3 is I'm going to assume it's white and white. But the overarching point is that the producer of the show, she did Grey's Anatomies and
Yeah, Shonda Rhimes,
Yeah.
and that's what I was gonna say. It's like I
Oh wait,
think
is Shonda Rhimes scandal?
that's it rhymes.
Yeah.
she's
Ah.
scandal
Yeah.
as well.
She has-
So she has a
track
track record. Of,
and that's
Yeah.
that's her thing, right? And it's also
How to
like
Get Away with Murder, yeah.
yeah, so like I hate it,
Banger.
and I love Viola Davis as an actress, right?
Yeah.
But like
You
she
didn't like? Okay, go.
no,
Whatever you
but she
about
was
to say.
very much
Watch it, though.
leaning into like that Shondaland kind of situation where like she did an interview and she was like, it's very important to see a black woman effectively fucking a white man on camera. and I'm paraphrasing, like this is an
But that's
actual
basically
this is
what
an
it
actual
was.
interview, and she was like,
Wait,
furthermore,
Viola Davis said this?
yes,
Okay.
and she was like, furthermore, a dark skinned black woman fucking a white man on camera is like revolutionary. And I was like,
But you see how she arrived at that point.
I
though.
get why she's saying it,
Yeah.
but it's also like it does.
It's coming at it backwards.
Yeah, like it's coming at it backwards. It's like what I think ultimately what all black people want is more opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think dark skinned black women are probably at the lowest end of the total pole in terms of like their representation, especially if you factor in like their contribution to overall Western society as a whole. Like they're super underrepresented in terms of their contribution. But like if you're saying like I think the conversation is like let's get more opportunity for dark skinned black women.
No, I don't think that's the conversation.
I think it is the conversation.
I think that I think what's going on is there's a big like desirability politics conversation that is like kind of being half had in the culture, and I think it's going to hit a head to where we actually start talking about what we're talking about. But the Selena Gomez and Bobby, whatever that old dude's name was, Jonathan Biles and Simone Biles, this point here, I think all of these are this conversation around like where does value come from when it comes to being desirable. And I think that when we talk about like black women, white men, all interracial dating, it's all about like who are you desired by, and does that bring value?
Yes, but and to your point, I think that ultimately I take some level of offense with saying that your value comes strictly from being desired by a white man. Like because,
I think everybody would agree if it said that plainly.
But I ultimately think that that's ultimately what it is. I ultimately think that that's consistent with the themes in her shows from a Grey's Anatomy perspective, from a Scandal perspective, from a How to Get Away with Murder perspective, from a Bridgerton perspective. It's pretty consistent.
I don't
disagree,
it's like, but here's my issue: is that like I think it's I don't want to phrase this. I think that it's true to say that, but we can't pretend that we're like on even footing with this conversation. Like white people being considered more desirable, like being the beauty standard comes along with power, and everybody recognizes that. And I think to try and I'm not saying you're exactly doing this, but I think you're a little bit doing this. I think to pretend like that isn't important, even if it's like a proxy for something else, to pretend like that isn't important, that being viewed as not desirable to the most powerful people in society doesn't have impact on your life and have value to how you feel about yourself is dishonest.
I think that my big issue with that is not saying that desirability doesn't matter or desirability doesn't do that. I think that when you position it as a revolutionary act,
It's definitely a revolutionary.
And that's what it came from. It was like, this is a big step forward for television that like a black woman is fucking a white man on TV. And it's one of the highest rated shows. In which I think when you position those sort of things as a revolutionary act and not saying like ultimately black women, because black men, it's a different scale. And I think it's equally as harmful as it is, even though it's on the opposite spectrum. Like our hypermasculinity makes us more attractive sexually to other people.
In a way,
which is,
sexually,
which is, again, harmful. Versus the hypermasculinity of black women, which again makes them less, attractive sexually from that perspective, but is again harmful. But when you talk about the societal impact of it, yes, I think that people should grow to see us as less of an otherized thing, and that like if you do that, then we will be seen as more attractive, which I think is ultimately good. But when you position like me fucking a white person as like a revolutionary act, I think that's bullshit. And people have discussed that time and time again throughout history with their thinking. Like I'm thinking Malcolm X, talking about like fucking white women being like a thing, or several of the Black Panthers.
Sure.
And they realized ultimately that that was dumb. Like thinking that was revolutionary. But like, yes, I think that your overall
because you're
point,
still framing whiteness as being like the power thing. Like
Yes.
you're still upholding it.
yes, but ultimately, yes, I do think that like as cultures become more open and inclusive, then yes, like the marker of black people being considered more attractive in a conventional sense is a good thing.
Yeah, I think
But-
the way you go about that makes it different, and I think that you can market the way you do it in a like you don't need to have a white person in the mix in order to make a person into like a sex icon or a love icon. You can be like, cool, this person is hot, and you can make a whole story around how hot they are and put them forward and say people who look like this are beautiful.
And
without-
to your point,
yeah.
and to your point, I think it should be more dark skinned people because again, this mulatto motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like what do you like? I guess you got to start from somewhere. I get it. I don't know, but like this
You gotta
motherfucker
crank it up slowly. You know what I mean?
step
frog in
one.
the water.
Have y'all seen in this like recent commercials and this ads anywhere? And I remember I watched a FD Signify video about this, and then he talked about how in these and then there was a paper about this as well. In these commercials that we see, like interracial couples, you never actually see them engage in the activity of love, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's like you have black man, white woman in this commercial, right? And them being together explicitly is enough.
Yeah.
You don't see them kiss. You don't see them hug. You don't see them, do anything that's intimate. They're just within that same space.
Yeah.
And then they have the look, the little cuddly head, mixed race baby, and then they promote, oh, this is why you should go ahead and buy T-Mobile. So it's so it's something like that, right? But then when you take like a deeper look at it, they're always at a distance.
Okay, wait.
Like,
Would you say, and when it's what do you call it, like same race couples, that you do see more of those
That's a
in
good
the act
question.
of love
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then because and go down to like a bunch of different type of commercials, right? You'll see same race couples be more intimate, and then you'll see the predominantly black and white couples in this almost seemingly distant type of space, almost as if they're using just this type of notion that, hey, look, we're inclusive. If you can go ahead and get both the blacks and the whites and make the blacks look like, that we actually care about and, care about this type of, inclusivity, it can go ahead and increase our type of market range and audience. When the truth of the matter is, they're just using this type of notion of like, look, interracial couples, we don't really care for it. We want the money. It's all like a marketing play still. And then we see that in that very shit movie with Laura London and Jonah Hill. I forgot what it was called.
Oh,
Right?
it was terrible.
It was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Gensu remake.
Yeah. And then I remember I heard somewhere like throughout the entire movie, you don't actually see them kiss until like the very end.
and it's fake.
Yeah, and it's fake. The entire point of the movie is about black women and white man can come together and we come from two different type of religious ideologies, and I'm Jewish, and I got the Black Panther and in Eddie Murphy and the whole and so on and so forth, but the kiss is gonna be fake. And you don't actually showcase any type of intimate physical attraction to love or spiritual attraction to love, because that's not a realm that we want to go towards. Now maybe there was other reasons. Maybe Lauren London had their reasons.
I think Lauren London said
yeah.
no. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume as much too. But
Which I'm like, then why put her in the movie?
Then why do
Yeah,
it? Then, right? Then why do it? Then?
Yeah.
You know,
There's politics and shit going on.
And then
right?
like you have
Sure,
Eddie
yeah.
Murphy, you have Neil Long, two prominent black figures in the American media space. They back this then.
But then even in even the on-screen representation, because I have not watched the movie just because of the representation. I'm not gonna say I hope not, but that movie was just not necessary, or the way that it was done. Because I'm looking at this is so fucking stereotypical of my black daughter is dating a white man and he's Jewish. We don't like this. Let me ask you some black shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very old man Eddie Murphy type of
It
movie.
was mad corny. It was
and it seems like everyone in that movie would have evolved beyond that to actually make a good, compelling,
because you can do
interracial film.
Yeah,
with
you
a
can do
good
it.
fucking storyline that doesn't need this corny ass, old school thinking. Oh, black and white, this shit don't mix. Like,
Yeah.
But let me jump in here. I think this is a very good conversation.
Oh man, we so in tune.
I know, man.
So
And
in tune.
it's like, if you want to have conversations like this, we actually got like kind of a starter guide, kind of a starter pack, if you will, that kind of guides you on your quest to have equally as interesting conversations. I'm sure you guys are actually much better at it than we are. But your boys have a conversation card game that has dropped. It is wild in the streets, now shipping to the UK. It's a red flag card game. We have lots of prompts that will allow you to engage in conversations. Again, equally as interesting as this, but with your individual conversation prize, probably much, much better to spice up your individual dinner parties, your outings, your kickbacks, if you will. But we're going to show you how it's done.
Let's do it.
my man don't miss.
Is it a red flag if they own a gun?
Depends on the country, right?
Maybe.
Here in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how
Oh,
wild.
wait. Since I'm answering this, that would presume
Yeah,
that
from
it's,
you.
like, is it a red flag for a woman to own a gun?
Yeah, for the girl that you're dating to own a
Oh,
gun.
fuck yeah. I don't want
That's crazy.
I don't want nothing to do
But I
with
mean, but it also, of course, if you're in the women, but in general too, because you can also speak from that perspective.
Yeah,
if they just have a gun, period, in the UK.
Okay, so if you're dating a woman, and I don't know what the most normal way for this to be, but let's say you go to her house and you see in her gun stand it's condoms, dildo, tampons,
In her gun stand,
and a
she
fucking
does.
pistol.
In her gun stand, she
In her
condoms.
gun stand.
In her gun stand, she has tampons.
Sorry, that's what we call nightstands in America. My fault. Sorry.
So intentionally good. Like, good job.
So you find that you see that she's got a Glock or whatever in the gun stand, in the nightstand. She hasn't told you about it, but she's like, "Oh yeah, that's my pistol or whatever." What does that now make you think about this person?
What type of nigga you been before to pass away? You need a pistol.
Oh, so you think it's about the kinds of men that she's been with? Is that where it would go? Like that's what you would?
My first thought,
yeah.
and this is gonna be okay. Bet 1, why do you have the gun? 2, why is it next to the tampons?
Yeah.
3,
Because that's where you America,
gotta keep it on you at all times.
America, you keep the gun, the tampons, and the condoms and the sex toys together.
Right,
They're all the
right.
same
Bullet
thing.
And these
Protection and protection.
And these are items that women commonly walk around with. Tampons, maybe not condoms, but tampons. Right?
Tampons, condoms, guns.
Right. So
at least the women I know.
Right. So then I'll go be like, why you got that? And if she got and whatever reason she has, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm cool on that.
My immediate question, if I was like a lad from the UK, if I was Mansden from the UK right now, I was like, how did you get this?
You had to have smuggled it into the country, right?
Like, because I feel like that's the more immediate question.
Look, the real bad men have the guns.
I
don't
would
think you're
feel more safe.
I'm just fucking
That's
around.
because niggas have like machetes and samurai swords. You got a gun.
How did you get this? What
Who
type
do
of
you
people
know?
do you know?
Who do you
Right.
know that's gonna give you a gun? Right?
You're at the coast and stuff, like dealing with like Iranians or whatever,
Yeah.
like getting like shit off of a
Yeah,
boat or
for
whatever.
real. Like, baby,
It's a
like,
problem.
What connection?
like we're in Brighton. Like,
Yeah.
Right down the street from Bridgerton.
like, it's like, why do you have a gun?
I'm a nice young lad. I'm a nice youth. Why would
All
you?
right.
Yeah.
No,
And
I'm gone from that.
So, as the resident gun nigga,
Okay. Let's get because did you say we're like
Yeah,
you hear the buzzer?
Yeah, I heard the buzzer.
Okay,
So
get this
we're
off.
definitely
we got to have the 2 AC way in here.
Yeah, so as a resident gun nigga, it's not a thing for me.
It's not an issue.
Like it's not an issue for me at all. And the reason why it's not an issue for me is because like I don't have guns for like nefarious purposes. And also it's and I've had this conversation before, so I feel like in Atlanta when people have guns, it's much more of a nefarious purpose. Like if I see guns out in the street, like I'm assuming nefarious purpose. There are other states in the United States where it's like everybody just fucking has a gun.
Yeah.
Like it's like soccer moms going to Target. It's like, oh, I got a gun. Like, and that was wild to me to like understand
That's
and
where I'm
like
coming from,
acclimate to. But I feel like in those contexts, it's so normalized, which is probably wrong. Like I'm saying that as a responsible gun owner, I think that guns are much too easy to get in the States. But like because of that context, the cultural context of it, I wouldn't be like that shocked or that like surprised in any fashion, because it's like so many people have guns in a lot of these states.
Josh, you
just
hit it,
living.
Yeah, and then because I want a past girlfriend of mine had guns in her nightstand, like dead
Multiple?
2.
Okay.
I keep one under the mattress, and I
I'm
keep
sure
one.
you do.
Yeah.
And then
And in
like
the- and
5
in the gun
back,
stand.
you know, exactly.
Yeah, I
All of his
definitely
books turn around
I
and
have
shit when you press
I
the
have
button.
more locked
AKs,
up.
schools, everything
Yeah.
you could imagine.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea. Go.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But it's a red flag if, in our case, if she has a gun. I would say no, because one of my past girlfriends, the ex, had 2 in the nightstand because she owned a townhome and she was living there by herself. So I was a little turned on by that. And then I was like, shit, she about to have me in my motherfucking masculine in this bitch. If a nigga try something, babe, what a gun at?
Okay.
She
In that
cocked it
front,
out.
That's crazy. If you but you know how to use it, you like.
I know.
I was gonna say,
Give it to me, you fucking idiot.
I was about to say,
Immediately. Imagine you miss. Give me that back here. The tampons for you. I'm like, you idiots.
So I was about to say onto that point, right? First of all, you're right. Like cultural context is very important because down here, right, you're like no one really walks around with guns like that, right? It's more so like motherfucking ninja blades. But I want to see how she holds it. I want to see how
If
she
it's
holds
too
it.
confident, it's a
she had a
problem.
good-
Now, if
she's got the-
if she's holding that gun like motherfucking Revy from Black Lagoon, like
Oh,
Goo Goo,
yeah.
I'm gonna be like,
That ain't kind of hot.
Okay.
I mean,
Damn,
look,
shit,
you know what I
protect
mean?
me, queen.
Hey, yo, like beat a rock to my Revy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So-
Well said. Well, look, on that note, thank you everybody for listening. If you see a dick in her dick stand, you might be seeing a red flag. You know what I mean?
I see what you did
Here
there.
we go.
That lingo.
Here we go.
Watch
Lingo.
out.
There we go.
Extendo.
But at the same time, if you create a TV show where you're trying to kind of use whiteness as a proxy for value in dating shit, it's probably you that's waving the red flag. This has been Waving the Red Flag podcast. It's been your boy Eddie. It's been Josh. It's been Alvin. Joined today, of course, by the illustrious Redux City. Before we shout our stuff, where can the people find you?
So I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. Don't follow me on Instagram. I won't follow you back. That one's private. But Twitter and YouTube are the main platforms. Reduxcity, just like that. REDUXCITY. That's about it. Thank y'all, Raven the Red Flag, for coming down here.
Thank you for coming through.
Thank you.
Salute, my
Very
brothers.
much appreciated.
Salute to y'all.
So
It's been a
look,
good time.
if you all want to see bonus content like all of the shit that we got up to during our trip to the UK where we did all of these podcasts, become a member of the channel. So you can do that on Spotify, you can do that on YouTube, you can do that on Patreon, and you get all of our bonus content, including access to our Discord. For this YouTube channel, like, subscribe, let us know everything that you think down in the comments. And of course, cop one of our fantastic conversation card games. It's a red flag. That's shop.wavingtheredflag.com. We are now shipping both to the US and to the UK. We'll see y'all next week. Peace, 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 peace. Cool. Much appreciated. Thanks for coming through, bro.
Nah, for real. I really enjoyed this shit, for real. Like, I really enjoyed this shit, for real.
Yeah, big facts.
Yeah, this is my very first, my very first podcast, right? And I it's funny because like on my videos, I'm like, I'm never gonna start a podcast.
Yeah.
I never said I would never be on a podcast, but I would never start a podcast. And if there's any podcast to start with, it's gonna be this one.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean?
That's
Good
lit.
looking
That's
out,
lit,
man.
man.
Much appreciated.
For real, man. It was dope, for real.
Fam.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Dope conversations all around. It's good to be around other educated brothers for real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nah, this has been really fucking dope. Like everybody we collab with and I've spoken to has been phenomenal. Like I'm dead ass. Like when I say like I love it out here. I know y'all again are the most miserable people on earth, statistically speaking, but nah.
But that makes us feel better. You know what I mean? Look how sad y'all motherfuckers are. It's
Right,
crazy.
second.
There's statues everywhere and trees and shit. Why y'all sad?
What's funny about this is that if my subs watch this, there's like a whole lot of like debate. Like, is Redux American? Is he from the States?
Yeah,
from
you have a very mixed accent.
right.
I've met people who, what's your? Because I've
You
met
gotta
people.
have shiesty for one of like,
True.
Yeah.
Also, your swag is American.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like your swag feels very like New York urban kind of thing.
but
like
You raised
actually more
I
LA.
don't want to get into that, but like, I mean, this isn't recorded, so yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well,
I'm.
I mean,
This will be.
This
it's
is
like behind the scenes.
yeah, behind the scenes.
But still, yeah.
I will never disclose that.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah, that's real
but
shit.
I will say, obviously, since I'm here in the UK, you know what I mean? Y'all can put two and two together, but I'm never gonna like, openly say where I'm from.
Yeah, real shit. Real shit. Yeah.
It's for the brand. It's for the brand. It's for the brand.
That's look, this guy right here.
I believe in that shit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Internet is a
it's
scary
brand.
fucking place. It
For
ain't
real,
y'all's
dog.
fucking business, honestly.
Yeah, nah, for real. I'm gonna keep it a buck though. Like I filmed it. This jacket, I'm hot as hell in this bitch.
Because y'all with the puffy
They gonna
jacket,
see me.
Right.
It's wild. Y'all in winter.
Shoot, y'all gonna see me. Y'all gonna see me for real.
With the diamonds.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Dancing.
You know what I
Hey.
mean?
I don't know how you can even hear over all that dancing noise. Yeah.
Alright.
Here, I'll hand off hard drive and all that good stuff to you.
It's a red flag.